This is Professional Launch with Ricot Aladin, positively connecting the less connected, bridging gaps, and building futures in the community. Professional Launch with Ricot Aladin.
Hello, professionals. My name is Ricot Aladin, and I'm the founder of Professional Launch and the host of the Professional Launch show here at WDAY. I want to thank you for being on the show today, watching us, and supporting the organization. But before we start the conversation today, I want to answer a question from our interview prep workshop from last week. Maxime asked, why do I get this question? Tell me about yourself every time. And also, how can I answer it? Because after every time I answer the question, I feel like I blew it. So, Maxime, here's what you do when an interviewer or a hiring manager asks you to ask you that question, tell me about yourself. They are asking you for two things. Number one, what is it that you have done so far in your career? What skill have you learned? What experiences have you had? And how can those experiences, those skills, contribute to the success of the company? So, if you can frame your answer around those 2 points. First, highlight your skill, your experiences, and second, see if you can show how those skills, those experiences can help the company succeed in your role, then you are golden. Please do not go on YouTube and memorize people's answer, because we all have different experiences and different set of skills. So even if you are a student, go find my video on the BDA of interviews, where we talk about before, during, and after the interview, what you should do, and you should be golden. Remember, what have you done so far? What experiences have you had? What skill have you learned? And how you can use those skills to contribute to the success of the company in your next role. That's it. That's the answer to that question. Tell me about yourself. Hope that helps. All right, on to the conversation now. Kristi.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I'm so excited to be with you.
Wonderful, wonderful, Kristi. You know, you are no stranger to the community. You've led the United Way. You work at Blue Cross Blue Shield. But we can agree that there are some folks from the Professional Launch audience who may not know who you are. So please tell us who you are and what you do.
Oh, I love that question. So at the heart, I am a community advocate at the heart, but I love what I get to do now, and that I am a consultant. I work with companies that are looking to help their leaders find the next gear. And so I do leadership strategy, I do leadership consulting, and talk a lot about how to make sure that your team has the skills that they need to be successful at any level. So that's why I'm really excited to be here with you today, because leadership really does start at the launch.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. So you have led a wonderful, organization in town, United Way. And what have you learned? Both, from leading an organization and also from being now doing your own thing with your consulting business?
I would think that the best leadership lesson that I had working in the United Way is that everybody has something to bring to the table.
Wonderful.
And true leadership really does look at what are all of the talents and opportunities that people are bringing, and then how can you plug them in at the space that helps the entire organization or community get better. So really looking at individuals, understanding their talents, what do they bring to the table, and then plugging them in and getting them excited about using their talent.
Wonderful, wonderful. I said that before, but I really love that phrase that you have in your on your LinkedIn profile. Leadership starts within. Can you tell me where that comes from? And is it something that you come up with in your journey?
I think that over these last 20 years of being in different roles in organizations and having the opportunity to lead, one of the things that really spoke to me is how important it is for leaders. And when I say leaders, I know that we're talking to young professionals that may be just starting in their career, and they think, I'm not a leader, I don't have a team, I don't manage people, but I want people to start thinking about influence as leadership. And when you think about how influence starts from within, That's really crucial in understanding those core things that help give you that confidence in your influence. And ultimately, when you're invited to lead, give you that confidence in leadership.
Wonderful. So you are the founder of Perspective Shift Consulting after such a successful career. So what inspired you to start that?
I was really excited about being able to work on unique projects
Okay.
and work with individuals in a different way, especially individuals that aren't in just one organization. So I do executive coaching, which really does look at how do you look at where leaders are at and how do you help them get unstuck if they're feeling stuck, or if they are just honestly, the thing that I hear the most is I'm feeling burnt out. And so how do you come alongside? How do you work with individuals in order to help them realize that burnout can be avoided by doing the right things?
Yeah, so that's something that we hear a lot. It's not just leaders. We have young professionals who are in college should talk about burnout in a certain way. I think that, think about it. That's something that should have a whole show on, just to talk about, how to avoid burnout or how to deal with it in that sense. So when you meet leaders and they are talking about burned out, where do you think the source of that come from? What create that burnout?
I'm so glad you asked, because actually when you mentioned that young leaders and young professionals are feeling burnout, that really speaks to me because they have a long career.
Yeah.
So how can you, as a young leader or a young professional, avoid burnout? I started putting a framework together to really get to the heart of why people are feeling burnt out. And I put together a compass because it's helpful for us to have a tool to go back to, right?
Yeah.
When I'm feeling burnt out, it's not just enough to say, I'm feeling this way. What do I do about it?
Yeah.
So what I challenge people to start doing is thinking about their values, their vision, their voice, and their vitality. And usually by looking at those 4 areas, you can really define which area am I feeling off. And that is where you start to see that drift of whether it be influence drift, or if you're in a leadership role, leadership drift, where over time, the decisions you make can lead to drift. And coming back to these 4 areas really do help you identify how can you work on the one that's causing the burnout.
Wonderful. So it's values, vision, voice. What was the other one?
And vitality, your energy.
The 4 V's.
The 4 V's, exactly. Everybody wants an easy thing to remember.
Yeah.
And especially when you're feeling burnt out,
Yeah.
you want to be able to have something that's easy to go back to. And so I've got some specific micro moves that your listeners will be able to use that will help them.
Wonderful. So in your bio, you talk about radical clarity compass. Is that the compass?
Yes,
you mentioned there?
the radical
So
clarity compass.
Yeah. So how do you define that?
So when we are feeling lost or when we're feeling burnt out, it feels like we need to have something to come back to. And that's where I started really thinking about this idea of a radical clarity. When we have radical clarity, we are aligned. We know where we're going. We know what gets us up in the morning and gives us that energy to do what it is that we need to do. And so that's where I started unpacking this idea of how can we use this compass to get unstuck and so that we don't feel like we're lost.
Wonderful. So perspective shift consulting, is that a part of it? Is the radical clarity compass part of it, or how does that sink in?
I'm so glad you asked, because when for many years in my career, the word perspective has come up over and over again. And how when we have an opportunity to expand our perspective, whether it be through conversations like this or being a part of professional launch, you get an expanded view. You get a bigger perspective. And when you have that bigger perspective, you make decisions in a different way. And so sometimes when you see things from a different angle, you want to move. And that is that shift. So that's why the name of my company really was meaningful, because I want to help people see things from a different lens. And I want to give them the energy and momentum to be able to make the move that will mean the most to them.
Oh, wonderful. So, you are a leadership strategist, and you have led many organizations at the highest level. what would you say? What is it that shaped your leadership philosophy?
Yeah. I have had just a tremendous opportunity to do different things and to be in different companies. And through that, I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
I,
We all.
we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. And hopefully we learn from those mistakes. Yeah. And so I think being humble and understanding, what would I've done differently? And that's really what I wanted to bring through this leadership strategy and working with companies, because I think one of the things that is the hardest is that right now, I don't know if you follow the Gallup workforce survey, but that every year Gallup does a survey. And this year, their survey on employee engagement showed that we are at a 25-year low for engagement. Goodness.
I have to check this out.
It's fascinating. And also, one of the things that came from this survey is that they said that 70% of a team's engagement is based on the manager. And so that's a lot of pressure for a manager. And if managers are feeling burnt out, then we are going to see teams that are also reflective of that. And so what I've learned through my time in leadership is how important it is for us to be investing in our managers, our middle management team, as well as our higher levels of management. But those middle managers, they are on the front line and they are doing so much good work to energize some of the new professionals that are listening to the program and that are coming into this workforce. And so that's where I think this radical clarity compass can really help not only individuals that are just joining organizations, because you can use this compass to also help you think about when you take a job and selecting your next job, or should you take another job.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, this platform, this organization is about mentorship. And I said that many times on the show, I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now or where I am today without the support of many mentors. And I often say that I am a product of mentors. And this is why me so invested in creating a mentoring platform where college students can connect with experienced mentors to learn how, or maybe find some direction on how they can launch their careers, is really close to my heart. It's a work that I'm heavily invested in, and so I guess my question is: have you had mentors in your career, and how have they influenced you in your journey?
I am passionate about mentorship. Mentorship has given me so much in my career, and I owe a lot of my success in my career to people who gave me an opportunity, not only from being a mentor, but introduced me to incredible people.
Wonderful. Well, we will talk a little bit more about mentors, but we have to take a break right now. When we come back, we will continue with the conversation. We'll be right back. We are back today. Oh my goodness, I'm having the time of my life here with Kristi. Kristi is the founder of Perspective Shift Consultant. She is an executive coach, a leadership strategist, and the creator of the Radical Clarity Compass. And the best part of the clarity, radical clarity compass is the 4 V's. Did I say that right?
You did. Yeah, you're perfect.
So it's the voice.
Yes.
The values.
Yes.
The vision.
Yes.
And the vitality.
Perfect.
Oh, got it. So
I'm going to add you to my marketing crew.
Yes. So this is what we are talking about here. And I think that, when I first thought about having you on the show, I said, I'm going to have to talk to her about, leadership. What is it like to be a leader, things like that. But I think based on where we are with the conversation right now, I have to push a little bit on that. You have spoken to many groups, you have many meetings, and you have had leaders under you, people that report to you. What do you see is it a challenge for those who are in leadership role to identify those V's, the value, the voice, the vision, and the vitality?
Oh, absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
great question because when you're in a leadership role, there's so much that's happening around you. There's so much that you're thinking about. You're not only thinking about where are we as a company going? What are the challenges that we're facing, both internally and externally? What's your competition doing? So there's just so much going on. And that's why I tell people it's really easy to drift, to experience leadership drift. And what do I mean by that? I mean that it's the slow, unintentioned, easy for me to say, drift from what your vision of your career was, your voice, how are you showing up each and every day, your values, are you making values aligned decisions? And then also, how are you protecting your energy or your vitality, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, making sure you're staying healthy, because those are the 4 things that most likely lead to that feeling of burnout. And so when we talk to leaders and when I have an opportunity to really lean in with them, we're able to get to the heart of what is that feeling of being stuck or burned out or just unconnected to the work so much easier by really leaning into these 4 areas.
Wonderful. So, as you know, this show is really focusing on those who are just starting out.
Yes.
Right. And so I want them to be able to take that and say, start identifying those 4 V's in their journey. How do you, let's say right now you made a college students in their, it can be a junior, maybe even a senior trying to, thinking about graduation, what they want to do. How would you advise them to start identifying those 4 V's so that they can make better decision on their professional journey?
Rico, I'm so glad you asked the question because when I started this perspective, I thought that this was really just meant for executive leaders.
Yeah.
But now as I've had great conversations and my perspective has broadened and has shifted, I am recognizing how valuable the compass, the Radical Clarity Compass is for college students as well. So if I was a college student and I'm feeling burnt out in school or I'm feeling confused or even lost, here's how I would use it. So really starting with values. What are my values? What are my core values? What are my non-negotiables? So many people I ask, what are your core values? And what are the things that you want to do in order to make those decisions that whether it's I'm really passionate about being involved in the community or I really feel like it's important for me to make money. Being honest with yourself in what your core values and why you've selected those values is a great place to start. Because when you aren't leading with your values or making decisions with your values, it's really easy to drift and to say, you know what? Oh, I'm going to take that job that I'm going to make great money. But does the company also have values that align with your core values? Because if you choose a company that isn't aligned, the company's not going to align to your values. You're coming into their values. So that's why it's really important to do the work up front. But also as you're thinking about even choosing a major or choosing an industry that you're curious about, really thinking about, do my values align with those values?
Wonderful. When we talked about before the interview, one of the things we said is to research the company.
Yeah.
And part of the research in the company is to see what the company does, what the company does. Oh my goodness, what am I saying? Okay, so does what the company does really align with what you want to accomplish?
Yes.
Does the culture match?
Yes.
Does the product, is there something that you support? And in all of that, go into that part before the interview. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, including the values in there. That is a plus when you are looking to get into a company. And so how do you are a leadership strategist, so how do you balance the human side of a leadership with the strategic side during times of change in a company?
Yes. Well, we know that we are all humans.
Yeah.
And we are all coming to the table each and every day, whether it be a table at school, whether it be a table at a corporate table, we're all coming with different things that are happening in our world.
Yeah.
And so being aware of that is first and foremost, most important. But also, I have learned through my experience how important the role of communication is.
Ooh, yeah.
And how important it is for individuals that if you are in an influential role, for you to continue to make sure that you're prioritizing clear leadership and communication through that, because it's really important not only for individuals, especially if you are communicating change. Where are we going? Where are we today? What's current state? What's future state? Where are we going and how are we getting there? And then in the meantime, how are we giving our teams an opportunity to talk about what questions they have about the journey and why are we going there? Now, a lot of people misconstrue communication, and it's very important to understand that at the most basic tenet, it's about trust. And communication done well can build a very important amount of trust, but communication takes time and it takes prioritization as well.
Wonderful. So, my next question was going to be, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see leaders make when they are trying to inspire good alignment with their team? It does lack of communication or lack of trust, building is, is part of the problem. What do you think?
It takes time and intention, both with communication in order to be able to build that trust. And also just making sure that there's an opportunity to ask questions along the way. A lot of people understand the what, it's the how. How are we going to do this? Who's going to do this? Who's responsible for doing this? And so being able to make sure that you have all of those key pieces of information communicated, not just once either. So that's the other thing. People say, because I told you once, we should remember this, right?
Yep.
And we know that it takes more than just one conversation in order for consistent communication to build that trust.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. Man, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, I'll show you a gift that Kristi brought me. We'll be right back. We are back today. I am talking to Kristi Huber. She is in the studio for a professional lunch. Man, she's one of my best guests so far. I mean, I love the energy, Kristi. I really do. And we are talking about her consulting business perspective shifts, and that has a leadership in it. It has culture, and especially I have to make sure I say that right. The radical clarity compass that has the 4 V's: value, vision, voice, and vitality. And I think that all young professionals need to understand what these words can mean for them when they are launching their careers, and that will help them in many ways. She also brought me a gift. It's the Go Giver. I can't wait to read this book. And Kristi, thank you again.
I had to bring it to you because I know that you're a go-giver.
Yes.
This book, I share this book with all of my young leaders and influencers that I have an opportunity to connect with. This book was given to me by a mentor.
Really?
So this ties in.
Goodness.
This ties in.
Yes.
His name is Tony Jalen. And if Tony was listening today, he would be so excited because he is the ultimate go-giver. And this was given to me years ago. But this book talks a little bit about building a network. And it's such an easy read. It's a fast read. It's written by Bob Berg, who is just a tremendous author. But it talks a little bit about when you need to be in a mindset of building a network, you need to be thinking what's most important to Rico, not Kristi.
There you go.
What's most important and what will help you in your goals.
Wonderful. I really I'm really big on networking, and this is why I think that I managed to keep a decent network over the years. And so I can't wait to read that. Thank you so much, Kristi, for bringing me that gift. And so under the conversation, a mentor gave you that book, and we were talking a little bit about mentor, and I should tell the audience that we Professional Launch a big part of Professional Lounge is a mentoring platform that we are developing for college students to connect with experienced mentors in the community. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I truly believe that we all need a little bit of help, especially from those who have been there before us. And if you are college students right now who are listening to the show, the guests that we are talking to, they have lived many situations. They have occupied many roles. And if you have a question, you can send me a question on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You can have my emails on LinkedIn. You can find me and send me a question, and then we can ask the guest, because I want you to really see them as a resource for you because of the experiences that they have had in their journey. And we bring some wonderful professional, great guests like Kristi here on the show for you, because we know how valuable it is to hear it from those who have been there before. So, Kristi, we were talking about the Radical Clarity Compass, and one things that we know that happens all the time is change.
Change.
Yeah.
It's the constant.
Yes, it happens all the time. So, and you are known for navigating complex changes. What is your approach when leading organization through uncertainty?
Right.
Yeah.
It's very challenging now, I think, as leaders, just because of the pace of change.
Yes.
And we know that things are changing outside of everyone's control. And so in that creates just, I think, sometimes some anxiety, confusion. And so again, I, through my leadership experiences, have learned that it is important to be able to always communicate what's current state and what's future state. What's the best opportunity in future state? And how do we all get there together? A lot of times where I've made mistakes is where I've moved too fast. And through that, it doesn't work very well.
Yep.
It doesn't work at all sometimes. And so again, slowing down to speed up. How important that is. And especially if you are working with a big team where there are a lot of people, making sure that everyone knows their role. Everyone knows how important they are. And also, one of my mentors talked about helping people understand their highest and best use. So in order for you to traverse a large amount of change, you have to really lean in and making sure that everybody understands what is their talent that they bring to the table, and then how can they use that in order to get to where the organization needs to go.
Every time you mention a mentor helped me with this, that kind of
I tell you, my career has been, I have been so blessed by just tremendous people who have taken time. And that's why I really try to pay it forward.
Wonderful.
And try to be a great mentor as well.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. And so based on that, I think that I have to do a better job highlighting the value of mentorships to the folks that I get to meet, whether speaking somewhere or maybe just a workshop. And so in your opinion, right, what would you tell, or how would you tell a young college students what they should be looking for in a mentor, or how they can begin a mentoring relationships?
Oh, that's a great question. So the most important thing when you are introduced to somebody at a networking event, and if you're on campus, there's a lot of alumni that are there for different, whether it be homecoming, whether it be other things that are on campus, or there's programs that you have to actively find. You have to actively seek it out to be involved in that. When you have a great conversation with someone, the easiest way, you don't have to be formal about this, is, hey, I have more questions for you. Would you be willing to have coffee with me? Most leaders will, if you're flexible with the time, they will find time for you. Sometimes it's just about getting schedules to line up, but being couple of things: being organized, making sure that you have you've got your questions ready for your mentor or prospective mentor, and making sure that you are leading the conversation, not just sitting back and waiting for them to give you this really great information. Also being proactive, and if you set some time aside. Are we still meeting? Are we still meeting for coffee?
Yes.
You know, being just organized, thoughtful, considerate, and purposeful.
Wonderful. I did a short workshop for a group of young, they were about 16, 17, and I tell them, whenever you are meeting with somebody who might become a mentor for you, make sure that you have at least 3 questions.
Yes, at least 3.
At least 3 questions to ask them.
Yes.
Because you don't want to go to a meeting with someone who is, like, let's say, a manager or someone that is maybe doing something that you want to do. Any meeting that you're gonna go to, you're gonna meet with somebody. At least make sure that you have 3 questions, and those 3 questions can kind of extend the conversation to with follow-ups and so on and so forth. But don't go to a meeting and not having a couple of questions to ask. And that goes for the same interview. Don't leave an interview without asking a question.
Yes.
You can't tell me you're gonna work for a company. There's so many different aspects of that you want to be sure about. You want to learn about.
Yes.
And you don't leave the interview and the interviewer say, "Do you have any question for us?" And you say, "Oh no, I think everything is." No. There are 1,000 questions that you can ask just to be.
Yes, and individuals now have more access to information because you have chat.
There you go.
You can say, "Help me come up with the 3 best questions."
Absolutely.
So you don't have to, at times.
Yes. In this is really good. So we're still talking about a little bit about mentorship, and I think James, is it break time? Or do you have time for one more question? Okay. And so now on the mentor side, I asked about the mentee side, but on the mentor side, we know that sometimes they are intimidated. The mentees are intimidated by folks who are managers, maybe a little higher up in organization. You have occupied those roles. And you are very friendly, by the way. For those of you who wants to connect with Kristi, Kristi is the friendliest professional you will meet out there.
Oh, thank you.
So you are very friendly, but not all leaders are like that. And so how do you suggest that mentors, people who see themselves as mentors or leaders, can be a little more welcoming, to the mentees, to those folks who are trying to find those relationships? Because if they're already shy and you are not welcoming, it's really hard. Right?
That can make for a tough conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
That can be awkward.
Exactly. So what is your take on
My
that?
advice on this is for the mentee, be respectful.
Yeah.
Do your homework. But for the mentor, recognize and put yourself in those shoes.
Yes.
Because we were all young and just starting out at one point in time, and just to be able to have just a little bit, sometimes come with most positive intent, that these young people are our future leaders. They're going to be leading our workforce, and an interaction that you have with somebody today can plant some really powerful seeds for the future of their future leadership. And so thinking through that lens, we know that a lot of leaders are very busy, but making sure that both the mentee and the mentor are really focused on what it is that the mentee really wants to get out of the conversation, that can open a door to a fruitful conversation. And you never know. There are some people that I had conversations with very early, and now I'm watching them on LinkedIn, and they're doing just incredible things.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of them, and I'm cheering them on. And I remember when they were a college student.
Wonderful. Very, very, very good, Kristi. Oh, man, we're going to take a short break here. But before we go to break, I want to remind everybody that Professional Launch is a nonprofit organization, and therefore we heavily rely on friends, on guests, on partners to keep our operation going. So if you have helped us in the past, we thank you so much, and you know how grateful we are for your support. But if not, head to professionallaunch.org and slash the donate button. When I say donate, I'm not just talking about financial, although we need that too. But we're talking about time, we're talking about skills, we're talking about speaking, being on the show, and all that. And so go onto the next page and see every way that you can support Professional Launch. We greatly appreciate your support, because without you, we would not be doing this for this long. So find a way to support it. Even if you can just, subscribe to our channel on Facebook or on LinkedIn, connect with us on LinkedIn. That goes a long way. We thank you so much. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. We are back. Today I am talking to Kristi Huber. She is the founder of Perspective Shift Consultant. And like I mentioned, I thought the conversation was going to be about leadership, but we cover a wide range of things, especially mentorship. Right before we start this segment, we were just talking about mentorship right there. And because this is something that is really close, really dear to me. And I am so glad you have some wonderful mentorship stories to share with me. Like I said on break, I have to have you on the show again because I enjoy this conversation so much.
We're having a blast.
And I know, right? So, and you said it. You said we're going to have a great time, and we're having a wonderful time today on the show. So now we have just about 4 minutes for the last segment of the show. Kristi, what do you think? What qualities do you believe that will define the next generation of leaders? I know we have about three and a half minutes for this, but the best you can. What qualities do you believe that will define the next generation of effective leaders?
Yes. So it's interesting you say that, because I just was reading something on LinkedIn yesterday, and it's important for leaders today to recognize that the shift is happening in what new leaders are going to need to have and the skills. And it's different. We're thinking about AI, we're thinking about data, we're thinking about understanding all of those pieces in a much more broad way in order to help companies make decisions. But what hasn't changed is being able to be a great communicator.
Oh, yes.
So there are some really exciting things, but there are some core pieces that, as you think about launching your career and becoming a professional, leaning in and how can you communicate? If you haven't taken a public speaking course before, that might be something that you want to do in order to give yourself some confidence, because today, as always, relationships are the key to success.
Ooh.
And so as you think about that and being able to communicate, that is going to continue to be defining. How can you be a great communicator?
Ooh, wonderful, man. It's like whatever we are doing, the conversation is really sinking in with what I am doing in Professional Launch. We talked about you can have the best resume. ChatGPT can help you get the best resume. But if you are unable to articulate your skills to a company, that might be a barrier for you. That might be a challenge to overcome.
A huge barrier.
There you go. And for leaders, you might have the best ideas. If you're now not able to articulate those ideas, it might also create some challenges. Oh, Kristi, that is. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And really quick, can you think off the top of your head, top 3 skills that a leader should have? Last question.
Top 3 skills. Empathy.
Yep.
Definitely communication.
Okay, that's 2.
And vision.
Vision. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. This is our show. Kristi, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's such a pleasure to have you. I appreciate the conversation and the laughs. We should have you again. We must have you again on the show.
I would love to be back.
I enjoy it. And so final thoughts for you. Remember, Professional Launch is a nonprofit organization, and therefore we heavily rely on your support to keep our operation going. Find a way to support us, whether it's just by simply follow us on social media. That will go a long way, and we really appreciate that. Now, this is the part that I tell you, it's up to you to make today a great day. Have a great day.